All right. Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us on our May 3rd Thursday Together webinar series. Today we have two special guests that'll be sharing some very insightful information that we could use in our field, our work with our 4-H audience. We have Miss Pat McLaughlin. She's the Senior Program Lead with 4-H Youth Development with the University of Illinois Extension Program. And we also have Ms. Vanessa Trinnell, who's also our 4-H Youth Development Specialist through NC State and DLW. All right, and I'm gonna let them take it away.
Thanks, Erica. Pat, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Okay, thanks, Vanessa. So I'm happy to join the group today. I personally have been on many of the third Thursdays and always great information is shared. So hopeful that you find some of the information that Vanessa and I share today to be helpful to you in your programming. I have actually been the military liaison in Illinois, and I'm trying to remember exactly. It was pre-OMK, so it's been a long time, but 20 some odd years. But love working with and supporting our military families across the state, and love having the opportunity just to work with all 4-H. But it's very exciting to me to see when I walk into one of our installations in the state to see the clover there on the wall down at our Air Force Base at Scott Air Force Base. They have clovers all down the hallways on the floor, and I mean
Oh,
it's wonderful because you know that those youth are they know what 4-H is and they're involved, and it's just very exciting. So looking forward to sharing with you today.
that is so exciting, Pat. Thank you. For those of you that I haven't met yet, my name is Vanessa Trinnell, and as Erica mentioned, I am the 4-H Youth Development Specialist with the military, and I work for North Carolina State University. And I also have the pleasure of working for and with Department of War with the Military Community and Family Programs Office. So I'm kind of almost on loan from 4-H to DOW to just help us have a voice and help us communicate and help be a liaison between um, our 4-H programs within land grant universities, but also within child and youth programs with active duty, military installations, as well as Guard and Reserve. I have had the good fortune to work with 4-H my entire life. I'm a third generation 4-Her. Grew up on a dairy farm in southern Colorado. My grandpa was on 4-H in the very early 1900s, and my dad, and then my siblings and I. And so this was the one thing that I always wanted to do was to go into extension and go into 4-H. I just never thought it would happen. And lo and behold, it did. So I actually started with my career with Colorado State University in 1995. So I hate to even think it, but that's like 31, almost 32 years ago. There was a brief time where my love for, I guess there's a brief time that gave me my love and passion for supporting military audiences and working with our military partners. Many years ago in the 1990s, there was the original 4-H military partnership started with the Army, and the Army had what were called USDA Army Youth Development Specialists. And we actually were housed with Army youth programs and Army Child and Youth Services programs. And so I got to live in Atlanta, Georgia for a couple of years and do nothing but travel and support installations, working with local county extension people, doing professional development training, helping installations to learn about our resources, develop their partnerships with the local 4-H partners and extension, and know how to lead 4-H clubs and how to do projects. And from then on, it just became one of my passions. And then I was fortunate in Colorado for 15 years to get to be the 4-H military specialist and support all of the installations and services in Colorado. We have four, Colorado has four Air Force bases and one large Army installation, including the United States Air Force Academy. And then exactly 2 years ago, a position came open that was a new position, serving with Department of War, MCNFP, like I mentioned. And so I am very fortunate to get to do that, and see things from a whole different level. But the one thing I continue to realize that I hope will continue to think through today is that even though we're looking at serving our military audiences and supporting our military partners, and hopefully we will get some military partners to be able to maybe view our webinar recording later for educational purposes. 4-H is 4-H is 4-H. If you're a military young person, if you're a kid in Texas or in Illinois or Colorado or Florida, you're still a 4-H kid. It just so happens that if that young person moves to any other place, moves to, where would be another place? Colorado or Kansas or New Hampshire, that they can belong to 4-H there and find a place to still fit in and a place that they can belong. So just a little a reminder about the 4-H Military Partnership. Our mission is military readiness through 4-H positive youth development for youth, families, and communities. And our goal is to help our young people in our military connected partnerships and our military connected young people to be beyond ready, building a ready generation in a world of change. So a few tough things to think about as we dive into this really fun topic today is we know that we are looking at some young people that have some risk factors. We know that about 53% of Gen Zs report feeling lonely. And we know that about 52% of them feel that they're failing at life's goals, which leads us to youth feeling alarming levels of negativity about themselves, confidence in their future, and their ability to find contentment in life. And that's a really big wake-up call for all of us that are in positive youth development. And it's a reminder, that's why we get out of bed every day. We might be really tired because we're just coming off a county fair or a 4-H camp, or we had horse council last night, or shooting sports council, or a volunteer group, whatever it is. That's the reason, or part of the reason, why we find that we get up and we do it all over again, because we know that 4-H has the ability to impact these things positively. And when we look at healthy living, we also know that healthy living impacts how you feel about yourself and how you feel about all of these other things. So now we've got that out of the way and we move on to the good news. The good news is we know through our research that 4-Hers are 4 times more likely to give back to their communities, 2 times more likely to participate in STEM activities. And today we're going to key in on the fact that 4-Hers are 2 times more likely to make healthier choices. And that's what we all need to do, is to make healthier choices. It's such an awesome fit with military partners, really looking at prioritizing healthy living and health and fitness right now, because we have that built-in piece to our relationship and that built-in piece to the 4-H program, and that health is one of our H's. Actually, if you wouldn't mind taking a little break and telling us, what does healthy living mean to you? Would you put a little, actually put your name, I forgot to ask this in the beginning, put your name and where you're joining us from today, and then drop in the chat, what does healthy living mean to you? And Pat, if you can see the chat, I have made my screen so big I can no longer see the chat. So Pat, if you wouldn't mind, when people drop stuff in, looking at the chat for us and see what people are putting in there.
Okay. Nothing's come in yet, but I can see the
Okay. Okay. We will give you a chance to plug stuff in. So part of the timing of our webinar today is, as I mentioned, there has been some recent prioritization, although our service partners have always had sports programs within their child and youth programs. It's one of the core areas that they focus in on helping young people grow and develop in their before and after school programs and in youth centers and in their out of school time, like summer camps and camps when the kiddos aren't in school. However, with the reimplementation of the presidential physical fitness test, it's become a priority, even a little bit more than it used to be. And so today, that's kind of the direction that we're going to take, and we'll be looking at what's called the Championing the Presidential Fitness Test through Installation Youth Programs. And if you've been on some of our calls, our bi-monthly 4-H military partnership calls that we would love for you to join, and the information, Erica has put that nicely on our website. The information for those calls is on there. We meet every other month for just an hour to kind of share some program updates from the services, from the Department of War, from USDA, but also 4-H updates that has been presented on there. And I think there's even a copy of it on our 4-H military partnership website. But in a nutshell, what that is this memo went out from the Deputy Assistant Director of the Secretary of War, Mr. Stephen Simmons, sent a memo out this winter that renewed the Department of War's commitment to supporting health and fitness of military families by leveraging installation youth programs and military morale, welfare, and recreation facilities. And it outlines key initiatives to promote youth fitness, including organized family fitness events and enhancing youth sports leagues, expanding partnerships with schools, homeschool groups, and national organizations. And I put 4-H in green because as I look, I printed off this week a copy of that memo. And as I look back on it, I have it highlighted all over the place because Mr. Simmons specifically calls out 4-H in that memo. And that's a great thing to know that they are looking to us for resources and for research-based information. Supporting youth development supporting professional development for youth program staff to strengthen their youth engagement. And I don't know that they have announced what it's going to look like, but it might also be a nice little segue for you all as you're continuing to develop your partnerships. Let them know that you think you've heard that they might be eligible to apply for some youth-driven fitness kinds of grants through the Department of War, and that you might have some ideas for them or that you might be able to support them in some way. And we will also continue to share that with the services to look back at their 4-H partners. So a lot of what we're going to look at today are resources. If you haven't found them, you may have found resources that we have not found. So I would love it if you would share those with us. And as we go, please drop those in the chat so that anyone watching this afterward will have a record of that. And then I will take snippets of those and add them to my presentations that I do with the military going forward. If you're not aware, because I know I've just met some of you recently. Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, we've got some really good things in the chat. Do you want me to share those real quick before you go through these other things?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Anne Marie from Montana, Healthy Living, her view is Healthy Living is doing this training and being on the treadmill at the same time. So kudos to you, Anne Marie. I'm impressed. Then Brenda Madrid, Laramie County 4-H educator, military educator in Wyoming. Healthy living means doing the things that make me feel good, being outside, eating healthy foods, being mentally healthy. Great things to keep in mind when we're talking healthy living. Erica shared that healthy living means being active, eating well-balanced meals, and getting rest. A lot of times we don't think about the rest. I think that's the one thing that we periodically go, but sometimes we kind of neglect our rest and letting our bodies kind of recoup. Erica shared, it's Christian from Houston, Texas, says touching grass, not stuck online all the time. So yes, being outside, being healthy, very good. And Yolette Laredo Huff from Edwards Air Force Base shared that healthy living to her is balance. And again, that's really important. I know sometimes it's really hard to get that health focused work required balance in there. So I think anytime that we can do that, it makes us stronger. Just because we are thinking of ourselves and taking care of ourselves. Gypsy from Georgia says that healthy living means taking care of your mind, your body, and your soul, paying attention to nutrition, exercise, and mental well-being. Yes. Again, that's great. And definitely all of those things are things we want and need to emphasize with our young people that we're working with. And Jeremiah from Christian County, Kentucky, health is getting folks active, learning more about nutrition. Definitely, we always need to kind of stay cognitive of what we're putting into our bodies, don't we? And then Matthew Trask says that healthy living is having an environment that supports you and your developing needs in various ways, like physical health and mental health. And then last, we have Claudia from Colorado. Healthy living is ensuring youth are living their best life. They're getting proper nutrition, are physically active, and are emotionally supported. All of those responses, great responses, and it's just kind of like a mantra we need to keep in our focus to make sure that we are doing this and supporting our youth and creating activities and active learning experiences for them so that they really are starting to think with a healthy living mindset. But it's also been something that we need to emphasize amongst ourselves as well. So thanks. Thank you for sharing, all of you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for sharing those for us, Pat. I love, and it was wonderful to see how many people have joined us from 4-H and Extension, but also from our military services. So thank you so much. Shout out to Anna Marie in Montana. We used to work together in Colorado Springs at one of the Air Force bases. So shout out to you. I know how many amazing 4-H resources you use. And going back, thank you for multiples of you talked about balance, and it really is balance. It's not about raising little people that have to be competitive in sports, right, or to excel at everything. It's about young people being healthy in their mind, being physically healthy. And it's a whole lot easier to be healthy when you're a young person than to decide you have to start it when you're 30 or 40 or whatever it might be. So thank you guys. Just to call to your attention, two of the great opportunities we have that are national opportunities that promote healthy living. The first is the Ignite by 4-H conference that happens in March, that is planned, developed, and led by National 4-H Council. One of those is that there's actually a healthy living track when you go to that conference that the young people sign up for. There's 4 or 5 tracks, and one of those is also a soccer sub track. And what those young people do is they take part in some of the things at the hotel, some of the workshops and the evening recreation, but they actually go to, I believe it's the University of the District of Columbia, that's not far from the conference hotel, and they play competitive soccer. So for those of you from the services or those of you that have great relationships with your services, please try and prod them about this, because my goal next year is to have at least one military connected soccer team. Wouldn't that be fun to be there? And I will also tell you that the last 4 to 5 years, Department of War has funded each of the services to bring people to the Ignite by 4-H conference. And so there is money out there and available. So please know that. Please tell the installations that you work with, if you can get some interest, tell them to ask their services about the funding that's available. And if they can't find out, have them reach back to me as the DOW 4-H specialist, and I can maybe in a circular way forward it back to the people that have the information so we can put them in touch. But so note to self, everyone, we would love to have a 4-H military soccer team next year. The other one that really, really is a fabulous opportunity that's also funded through the Department of War are our military teen adventure camps. And this year, I think we have 6 states that are hosting 16 or 17 camps that are military teen adventure camps. And those are for high school kids, and they're for all active duty young people, guard and reserve, young people to go to those camps. And they truly focus on mindfulness, they focus on outdoor living, being the best that you can be, being where you're at from your from whatever the point in your life is. If you're wanting to get more physically healthy, if you're wanting to get more emotionally healthy, develop your mental wellness, but it also gives them a really healthy place to be because they're with their peers. We hosted a camp in Colorado for 11 years, a military teen adventure camp. And every summer, the young people would say, it felt so good for us to be together because some of my other friends don't understand where I'm coming from because they haven't ever lived the life of a military connected teen that maybe moves a lot, or that their parent deploys, or that they wind up living with grandparents or aunts and uncles or whatever. So if you have not heard of those before, this year I would say I probably need to update. This link that I gave you will get you there, and then it will link you. The camps are actually, the website is run through Auburn this year, but that's great if you would be willing to pass those on to all the families that you work with. Uh, and and I just want to thank Pat again for being on with us today. I have old perspective, I have new perspective, but in talking with Pat over the years, they do such incredible things in Illinois to partner with their military programs. And she's the perfect one to share with us today. So thank you, Pat, so much.
Thank you, Vanessa. And I am really happy to be here. We actually partner in Illinois. We partner with we have 3 installations. We have Army at Rock Island Arsenal, which is actually located out in the river in the Mississippi. Um, and so we have a lot of Illinois and Iowa staff, military there. But it's a great program. We have one of our 4-H educators up in that part of the state. She provides leadership for the on-site at the installation programming. They're kind of a unique situation in that they do not actually have very much housing on the base. With it being on an island, it's relatively small. So a lot of her programming, she does some throughout the year, but a lot of the programming, they do a lot of their programming during the summer. And then we also have Great Lakes Naval Station, which is a very, very large installation. It's a training installation. So it's located up in northeastern Illinois. Jesse Davis is our staff member who works there. He's doing great programs. He does, and I'm not going to get into too many of those right now, but he does a lot of outdoor adventures, natural resources, gardening. He comes with a background in horticulture and natural resources. So he does a lot of programming up there with the youth on the installation there at Great Lakes. And then our third installation is Scott Air Force Base, which is located in the southwest. I call it southwestern, but southwestern part of our state. But East St. Louis is where it's located. And so our youth development educator in that area is Emily Reese, and she does a lot of programs. She's out there every month, and then they have one of their EPCs who go out there periodically and implement programming as well. And they do a big summer program, and I'll talk a little bit about that after a bit. But we're very fortunate to have all of those installations. I also wanted to talk about, we have a great relationship with our Illinois National Guard. And so I meet with them a couple of times a year. We kind of do a planning program talking about what types of programming we want to do. And one of the things that we did last year, it was a healthy living training for the Illinois National Guard Teen Council. And it was very exciting because, I mean, we have new staff. A new staff member started last year down there, and they were looking to do something different. And so that has been really great because it really gave us a chance to really spend some quality time with the Illinois National Guard's Teen Council. And so we did a trainer session, and the teens then were going to take that camp and they were going to deliver that program around the state of Illinois over like a 5 week period. And so it was really exciting. One of the programs that we focused on was Health Rocks. And I know that's a 4-H program we've been doing for a number of years. I know some of you may have the Health Rocks grant, so you already kind of know about what happens in there, but I did want to go ahead and share about that because you can use the Health Rocks curriculum a lot of different ways. But we really liked it. We use the day camp Stepping with Health Rocks guidebook. It's a resource, and we will have that available for you. We have it shared, and then Erica's going to post it for us so that you guys can have access to that. But it's a great resource, and you can kind of change it up a little bit if you want. But I'll just go ahead and it's kind of an interactive, great curriculum for a day camp setting because it's interactive. You can set up stations, and the youth walk around and have conversations. They are interactive at each of the different stations. There's actually 10 different stations, and so there's multiple ways you can implement this. You can have it as a piece of a bigger day camp where they're doing something healthy living, but then maybe they're doing something that is different, maybe something STEM. So you can kind of decide, if you just want to focus on this or on the healthy living side of it, and have it last multiple days and go through so many stations a day, or you can just kind of pare it down however you want. But I'm going to go through real quick, just kind of what the goal is and what some of the lesson plans, what those lesson plan options are. So it starts off, but the youth actually walk. So at the end of the experience each day, they will have walked a mile because you set your stations up so that they start at the beginning, and then they go to their first station. Station number 1 then is a healthy living. It's a trust me. So it's really it starts off building trust with one another and giving them that opportunity to do some different activities and to share some things and gain that trust with who's in their group and feel comfortable about it. So it's just focused on building that trust. And then the second station there then it's talking about, and you can kind of go however you want. Some people want to really focus in on like one of the stations is legal and illegal substances. And so some of these conversations are, sometimes they're difficult ones for kids to have sometimes, but sometimes it's very educational. Kids need to think about these things, but it takes them through some interactive activities where they're having these discussions, and they start getting this understanding of, what are the consequences associated with legal or illegal drugs. One of the stations is focused on smoking. So, take a deep breath, and you do an activity where it starts off that and those of you that have done this before, starts off with you have a really big straw, like one of those shake straws that's really, really big. And they're breathing through that while they're doing different things like stepping or walking or jogging in place. And then you keep reducing the size of the straw. And the next straw is a normal straw that you get, like if you're drinking a soda or something. And then the last one is a coffee stir. But it's to help them see that, the impact that smoking can have on your lung capacity. Because they can do just fine and they can be jogging and things while they're using that big straw. But when they get down to that coffee stir, it's very hard to keep going at that point. So they're very hands-on, interactive activities that they can see and understand, how the use of certain products can impact your life. And again, we do this as a partnership, and we love that we have these different partnerships. And it's something that you can bring other community members into as well, if there's other community members that you feel could enhance the programming. So then the next slide just talks a little bit about the um, cycle of addiction. You can move that slide, Vanessa.
Oh,
That's okay. So then it also incorporates talking about addiction, exploring all those risks associated with smoking, how it can be hard, how that can become an addictive behavior, and how it's hard to stop once someone starts some of these unhealthy habits. It really is, because it's something that you do all the time. I know I used to be a really heavy soda drinker. I mean, I would drink, like, I would leave my office and physically drive somewhere like 3 times a day and get a 44-ounce, one of those big giant styrofoam cups of soda. And one day I just thought, this is crazy. That's a lot of caffeine and things. So I just had to, but I did. I cut myself off cold turkey. I've not had soda in probably 20 years now. So that's a good thing. But it is really easy to, you just start doing something and it's just like, yeah, this is okay. This is not a bad thing. But you really need to think about, what we put into our bodies, and also thinking about, it engages the youth in having these conversations. One of the things I really like about this program is they do the activity and they're doing all this hands-on active stuff at each of the different stations, and then between the stations there's discussion cards, and we have a slide that kind of shows some of the resources at later, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. But they have discussion slides. So like the individual who is walking with each group, and which if you're working with younger kids, you may have some teens involved who are serving as the guides for that are moving the kids, through all of the cycle of going from station to station. But there's discussion cards. So as they're walking along, they're having a discussion about, using these cards to guide them as, so what really, what are some of the consequences that you may experience if you do something, if you drink 3 44-ounce cups of soda every day? What are some of those things? So keeping in mind, so they're learning, but then they're also being able to express their own opinions and thinking about, what they're doing and the choices that they're making. And then there's also there's a session that's on decision making. We all know that, kids are making decisions every day. And I really like this one because I feel it's really important that they think about um, how they make decisions. How do you make decisions if you're working with a group? How do you make a decision that's just for yourself? And it's really important that our young people have that ability. And I think through some of the 4-H programming and those outside, outdoor camp type learning experiences, they get to make some of those decisions. And whereas sometimes I think, they just kind of go through the motions. Oh, we'll just do this. This is what everyone's doing. And then also stress is a big thing. And I know when we're working with our military youth, there's just a lot of stressors, potential for a lot of stress in their lives. Vanessa mentioned earlier, whether they're at one location and then suddenly, their family is suddenly moving to some other location. And that can cause stress among our youth, but helping them find ways and thinking about, how do I manage my stress? What can I do so that I am not worried? How do I reduce that? So that's the program, and it goes through. But there's also activities and lessons related to social and emotional learning. I know we used the Your Thoughts Matter curriculum, which I believe, memory serves me right, it's out of Ohio. So that's another resource, and I will send that one too, the link for that one as well, because I do think that's another one that's really good, and it has a workbook now that goes along with it. I used to be in charge of healthy living as well, but we didn't have a healthy living specialist for about 5 years, and so I was just picking that up as extra. And I said, that's a whole H. We have to all have health as part of what we're doing with our 4-H members, with our youth in the military family, with everyone. Everyone needs health. But this just shows you kind of some of the resources that come with it. And I like to show this just because. So you've got the curriculum guidebook that tells you how to implement the program, how to set it up, all of that. Um, and then you'll also have at each station, they provide you all the graphics, and you can download those and get those. So that where it says "Welcome to Station One," that it can be the size. You can have it made. If you have funding to do that, you can have that um, made up with those like yard signs. And so when I was actually working with that grant, we had some funding, so we could do that where we purchased those and had some of those printed. In other locations, when I was doing it, we didn't have funding. We just ran them on the copy machine and made it work so that it was a sign. Using how we do is we make it work. We with make your sign, attach it to a poster board, and put something in the ground that will hold it there. Just kind of, but it kind of makes it exciting because it has that professional look. And then there's the discussion questions. It's like it gives you everything that you need to implement the program. And then the other handout, the visual that's there, the conversation cards. That's what, as they're walking, because they've got a quarter of a mile to walk between each station. Those are discussion prompts that they can have so that they're thinking about. And it's interesting to listen to the young people. And I know you all know this because you work with youth as well. But it's interesting to listen to them as they're going from station to station, or and just the thoughts that come out. Sometimes they're very, very deep thoughts. And I know sometimes, and having worked with the military for so long, um, I have always found it that some of our youth are wise beyond their years. They should not have to be so wise. And a lot of that comes from when we had the OMK program after 9/11, when things were really rough. Families who had never, I mean, I don't think their kids even really understood that they lived in the military, but there were some very tough times for those young people. And so I think with our military youth, they're either at that level where they're acting like an adult before they should ever be thinking at all about having to be an adult. But then others are just they're just they struggle, and it's very hard for them. And which is why I think it's so important that we work with our military families. And I know right now in our world situation, it's one of those times where you really do want to stay on guard and be checking and making sure that our military youth are feeling safe and feeling protected, and not being overstressed on what's happening around. So I think having healthy living as something that we're doing with them, especially some of the social and emotional learning things, I think that's very, very helpful. And just having them be active. So I think the Health Rocks curriculum is really good. Another one that we used the Your Thoughts Matter, which has some meditation and things in it. But we also did yoga, and the 4-H yoga curriculum that we used was the one from Alabama, and it's very simple. But it's the kids really enjoyed it, and when they were doing it, and it's also exciting when they had teens who were teaching them, because they really look up to those teens. But we really like this curriculum. Again, I had some funding, so we were able to buy some yoga mats. But I know also sometimes you can get people to donate some of those things, one of your local stores, or sometimes a local community organization. But yoga, I feel like it's something. It's not. I don't feel like at one time I think some people thought yoga was a little controversial because you're meditating or thing. You're relaxing. You're learning to control your body and relax. So I always found it to be a very good program for our youth to give them a little break and give them time to relax their brain and think about what's going on. So those are some of the programs that we've done. And Health Rocks we did mainly with our National Guard, but yoga we've done for National Guard. We've also offered that on our installations as something as a program. Some of the other programs that we've done on our installations, I guess summer day camps is one of those things that at Scott Air Force Base, they do, again, programming throughout the year, and there's always healthy living as a part of it. One of the things they have done, but they always do a summer day camp that goes for a week at Scott. And they will typically will incorporate a summer cooking school, making healthy snacks. And then one of the things, like in this visual, they did outdoor cooking schools using a solar pizza oven. Um, and it's using a pizza box to create your oven. But it really, really works. I was a little concerned at first, but it was a good program. The kids really had fun with that. First making their ovens and helping get that together, and then doing the cooking outside. But I think it's good to have young people have that opportunity, because you're doing the summer camp and the cooking and things, but a lot of it's even just making those healthy snacks, figuring out what those healthy snacks are, what they like. So that's always been a kind of a staple program, and the installation likes having them do that one. And I also was sharing at Rock Island Arsenal. There we really implemented more of a fun and fitness camp there, where they were able to um, do a lot of outdoor activities. Oops, kind of flip back. There we go.
Oh, sorry. There.
Yeah, no, you're good. So we did a lot of outdoor activities where they were very active, doing all kinds of um, sport time things, and we set up some like stations for them to do some fitness things, but also just being outside in the fresh air and being active. Um, one of the things, and I did not put this in here as a slide, but I will also mention we host every year a camp corral at our state 4-H camp in Monticello. And one of the things that we have, it's a camp. Camp corral is really for the target audience is youth of families who've lost their service member, they're disabled, or were injured. And but we always have some extra spots. So we do in those extra spots. We always have a waiting list of our military kids that are a part of our 4-H programs as well. And it's at the camp. It's just kids being kids and being outside and enjoying nature, being able to climb the rock wall. I have to say that slower. I say it wrong. And getting some time out in nature, and doing canoeing and being involved in different clubs that they have during the week that they can be a part of. But one of the things I will say is we always have what we call a hero day. So our camp always starts on a Sunday. The kids go home on Friday before noon. And Thursday is our hero day. And we work with our Illinois National Guard. And so we have service members on site that day. And it's always interesting. We're like, okay, does this stimulate triggers for somebody? But we have found that it's really good. The kids get so excited to see people in uniform there. And the soldiers who come are terrific. We set up, and I don't know why we always seem to do things in stations, but we'll have like 12 different stations where they go around and do different things. And it's like things like camo face painting is at one station, or code breaking is at a station. But so lots of different stations. But then we also have a station where it's just vehicles, and so but it really is a great day. We also create a hero wall, and I know this isn't really fitness related, but it's something we really like. But they bring a picture of their service member, and they get to really talk with other military families. And Vanessa, I think you said it. It is so true. Some of our families, even if they live near the installation, if they don't live on the installation, they don't necessarily interact with other youth and military families. And so they get so excited when they see youth of other military families, and they make connections, and those connections stay with them, because we've been doing Camp Corral for at least 10 years. And some of those kids will come back, and that's where they see their friends, and engage with them, which I feel like is very helpful and valuable for them emotionally. So that's where my connection is with the healthy living. Is it's really important for them to be around youth of other families. So that's why I always feel like we need to do as much as we can for our geographically dispersed youth, because we want to make sure that they are feeling comfortable, that they can have conversations, and they do. They make these friendships, and they stay connected. And I think that that's really good for them, for their emotional health. So I think, looking at it from all those different directions, I think is really, really important. So I think anything that you can do to support those youth, and to provide them with a healthy, both mental and physical, experiences, I think is a wonderful, wonderful thing to be able to provide for them.
Thank you, Pat, so much. And you are so right. We love all of the ideas that you've shared and all the great things. See, I told you, everyone, that I do amazing things to partner with their military families and partners in Illinois. For those of you that are newer to the 4 H side of things and you haven't ever reached out to your guard or reserve, and you don't know how, please let me know and we will try and help you get back to those contacts. Because guess what? Even though we may not live near an active duty military installation, there are military families in your community, I betcha, even in smaller rural areas. And it would be so neat for you to be able to reach out to the states that they can't give you people's mailing addresses or emails or anything like that. But what we can do is help you to find the resources to reach out to the people in the state that are in the family programs, and they can share information back. So if you're doing a day camp in the summer and you want to reach some military kids, they can share that information with you, because those are the kiddos sometimes that, as Pat mentioned, didn't know they were military until all of a sudden they are suddenly military, we call it. So just let me know. In fact, Army National Guard and Army Reserves, I know specifically because I get their newsletters, they have an amazing website that has, Army National Guard has all of their state family programs coordinators and their state child and youth program coordinators and leads listed and contact information. And if you go on their website, even if you're not going to reach out to Guard, they have a fabulous newsletter that they send out every month that I get, and you can just sign up for it and it comes in the email, and it's got some really neat ideas. I think most recently it's even had some 250 ideas in celebrating the nation's 250th birthday, which of course for the military, I just keep thinking red, white, and blue color runs, because I know that those are always really, really good to engage families. So a couple of the things that we're going to do, for this last part of our time together, is just look at some 4-H resources. A lot of the resources that I will show you pictures of are free online that you can download. And then I also have a few little pieces of things that I know some of our other partners and colleagues around the country are doing. So here as a start, please look at which it would be the website that you had to register for this program on. But if you go back and check every once in a while, our 4-H military partnership.org website, Erica and David Britton have done an absolutely amazing job in the last year, updating and just getting it to look a little bit more eye-pleasing, because I think we've switched to a different system, but also they've put lots of energy into putting some great links on there. So please go back and review that. The other thing that you will find is there is something online called Clover, and it's through National 4-H Council. Clover will actually be changing a little bit this fall, but that's okay because there is great stuff on there now, and I'm assuming all the same stuff will be available once they transition to a different kind of platform. But look at how perfect these are, and these are free and they're online. I think you might, it's been so long since I did it. I'm sorry, I'm just drawing a blank. I think you do have to sign up for an account, but it's not hard and it doesn't require personal information, but you have to put your name and email, and I think you have to set up a password on there. And that's on this website, the forward-h.org website. But look at this, rethinking sugary drinks, making your own popcorn, my plate. I'm not sure if this one is still up there or if there have been some adaptations, because I know since we've shifted a little bit with the government's recommendations on healthy eating and amounts and that sort of thing. But these are basically what these are is their lesson plans. And so if you see this one falls into the food security and agriculture category, and there are different lesson plans on there for pre-K through 12, perfect for our military partners. So it's something that 4-H liaisons or 4-H educators in your communities, when you're working with them, you could share this online resource, or you can use that. If they ask you to come and do some special things, you can pull those up and use them. This is another great example, emotional wellness. As we're looking at that 4-H is a fourfold youth development model that as we incorporate head, heart, hands, and health, that's what develops us as a whole being. And within that, it's our healthy thinking, our physical health, our emotional health. So this is a great one as well. Emotional wellness for grades 6 to 12. And you can go in there and pull some off. These, these are also great. You can see there's a whole bunch of different ones on here. And so go online and check that out. And it's called Clover by 4-H and it's free. Oh, I'm sorry. These actually down here, this bottom square that I'm pointing to, I'd forgotten. These are called 4-H at Home. They're still on that same website, but they're called 4-H at Home and you can download them. And I think I counted, there's like 40 different 4-H at Home guides that were actually, they started developing those during COVID so that families could have resources at home when suddenly their young people were around all the time and they needed to kind of support education and give them some more engagement and give them other things to do. But again, they're perfect for our military partners because they can really pick them up and use them. The other thing I will remind you of when you're working with your military partners, or for those of you that have joined us today that are our military partners, the whole work harder, not sort of thing is real. It's more real now, I think, than it ever was. So our military partners can pick up and use our stuff. Our curriculum is research-based because it all comes from the land-grant university system, and in particular land-grant universities. So it's been research-based and it's also age-appropriate. There are times maybe when you're working with a mixed group of young people, mixed ages. Maybe you have a few 5-year-olds and it goes until 10. So you may have to rethink, look at their abilities, think of your ages and stages. You might have to rethink a few of the activities that you're going to do if you're going to adapt them to a younger person. Pat gave one of the best examples in the entire world. 4-H only works based on volunteers and on older youth mentoring and teaching and leading younger youth. Because in a county extension office, there is typically a handful of educators in there. And many of the places I work with have one 4-H educator in an office. But that's how we function, is we teach volunteers to be leaders, volunteer leaders. They get education, they get positive youth development training. Now, I'm sorry, Pat, I'm stepping into your world now because Pat is a volunteer specialist. But we equip volunteers and we also do exactly what Pat was talking about. We teach teens and older 4-H youth to mentor younger youth and to lead them. So if you're one of our military partners and you think, oh my gosh, we don't have the people to do this, but you do, teach your young people some leadership skills and let them use this easy to use curriculum with your younger people. Or with your school age programs, or with even have your school agers use it in your child development centers. Help them build gardens, help them do very simple little cooking projects where they're just putting things together and learning that it's healthier to choose a small piece of fruit over a candy bar or some unhealthy snacks from the cabinet, and that they get that in their mind and they begin to make some healthy habits. Some of the other places that are amazing to get curriculum. And this is not an exhaustive list. So also do your own web searches, but Utah 4-H Discover curriculum is wonderful. It has a lot of free guides on there. I have some pictures of some of those here in a moment, but they have free things on there that are intended to be 6-session lesson plans in different topics. And there's one that's healthy cooking, and there's one that's snack making, and there's one on designing fitness clubs. And so those again are great to incorporate. For our military partners, I think that's such the key, to incorporate it into what you're doing instead of saying, okay, today we're going to be healthy and we're going to learn about exercise. It just becomes a part of their everyday life as your staff are making it a part of their everyday programming. Shop 4-H is where all of our 4-H curriculum for purchase, and I feel like the majority of it is very reasonably priced, very affordable. The things that are more expensive, and I don't mean to say that any of it's overpriced, that probably didn't come out right. The things that are more expensive, though, are pieces of curriculum that might be a lot bigger. That's something that you would use repeatedly and keep it for a number of years and use resources out of there. Social media, if you are a Facebook person or if you are willing to relate to us on Facebook, please do a search if you haven't already for 4-H Military Partnership PDTA, which stands for Professional Development Technical Assistance. We have a Facebook page, and another shout out to Erica. She is amazing. Erica that's did our introductions for the call in the beginning. She posts multiple things on there every day that are pertinent information from the services, but also information our from our 4-H resources. And you all, when you have things, successful events, or you want to show I got a text 2 weeks ago from Fort Lee, Virginia, that their embryology project was going well and sent me pictures of their chicks. And I said, oh, please don't forget to put it on our Facebook page. So we would love it if you all would share on there as well. Do Google searches for 4-H fitness, health, nutrition, etc. You can also do a 4-H health search on social media. These are just some more examples of pictures that, or pictures of examples that I found. So this one up here, the Discover 4-H Fitness Clubs, that's an example of one of the pieces of Utah Discover curriculum. A lot of that curriculum is for either the Cloverbud age, which for most states is around 5 to 7 or 5 to 8 years old is what it's designed for. And then a number of the Discover curriculums are also designed for elementary school age, so it aligns great with our active duty child and youth programs, that it can be used in school age programs. But as I said, you can also take some of the Cloverbud resources and use it with your 8, 9, and 10-year-olds as well. I think we talked about this one already, but this is one of the free things online, the Healthy Living Guide, that's for grades pre-K through 12. Great free resource. This Steps to a Healthy Teen is a fabulous resource. It is not free. It's one that you have to purchase, but this is there's a youth guide and a facilitator guide. This would be a great one to use in middle school teen programs and to teach middle school teens to use it, and then they could mentor other young people. This is a great one. Everyday Food and Fitness is from is off of the Shop 4-H website. And it has got recipes in there. It's got nutrition lessons. And again, people can take it and use it. Depending on what your time frame is, you can break lessons down to where you can do it for a half a day thing if you're working with young people for a half a day during some out of school time, or you can do it every Monday, however it is that meets your needs. This is a fabulous one as well. This next one, Choose Health, Food, and Fitness. It's one that's a little bit more expensive because it's one of those more thick curriculums, because it is loaded with resources and lesson plans and action plans in there. Here's an example. Here's a bicycle club called Wheels in Motion. One of our big projects in 4-H is shooting sports that teaches so many healthy things. Shooting sports a lot of the times gets them outdoors if the program is going to shoot outdoors. I know Colorado, we have had done shooting sports in the 4-H military partnership for many years. In fact, I think Claudia is joining us today, and they just got done doing a shooting sports training. You have to be certified to be able to teach 4-H shooting sport, be a 4-H shooting sports leader. You have to have certification and have to have a minimum hours of training, just because there are so many safety things involved. But it is fantastic, and it really teaches some of that and hand-eye coordination, some of those developmental things. Plus, it teaches a skill. Here's a few other examples. The Snack Club is fabulous. I wish I could remember how much it was because it was a digital download. Mind, Body, and Whole, a wellness tracker, is terrific. Mindful Mechanics. We used to focus on our camps a lot about mindfulness and helping to young people to live in the present. You can't fix the past. You can live in the present, and you can make healthy decisions for the future. This is a great one. I Thrive Leading Healthy is off of the Shop 4-H website as well. Same with Sports Nutrition, Ready, Set, Go. I would also say when you're looking for ways to partner with your installations or your military partners, try and think outside of the box. So I think all, if not the majority of active duty installations that have child and youth programs have a sports program, if you were not aware of that. So similar to like a YMCA league or competitive soccer league or basketball league or cheerleading off the installation, they provide those for military families that live on or near the installation as a reasonably priced resource for those young people. So that might be something too, even though you're not going to go in and help a ton with that, offer to do a nutrition program for the families one night when they're kicking off basketball season or soccer season or track season or whatever it might be. So some of these things you can integrate in little ways into your partnership. This one is a fantastic curriculum. It's a little bit fatter one, but be a bone builder. Soilless growing systems. I will tell you, if you haven't ever done it with young people, one of the best things you could ever do is gardening, because it's teaching them, they get to be outside. If you're gardening outside, I guess I should say, they get to be outside. They get to learn about the soil. They get to learn about the dirt. One of the best times I ever had was at Fort Carson. Their school age program did some gardens, and we got some special funding. I think we got a grant from Home Depot, and I would go maybe every Friday, and we would work on our gardens, and they'd show me what had happened during the week. And the best were these really tiny little girls, and they could spend hours picking the grubs out of the soil and popping them. And it was so disgusting, but they loved it. And you know what? Who cares? They're out there getting some sunshine, playing in the dirt, and then they would eat the food. They would either, if it was something that could be done raw, the staff in the kitchen would either turn it into something for them, or they could eat it themselves. If it was something raw, they could wash it and eat it and share it with the others in the school age program. Or sometimes they have done it and then they will share it with a food bank or another resource in the community. So it comes full circle. This Up for the Challenge Lifetime Fitness Healthy Decisions is fabulous. You can download it for free. I can't remember, at least 100 pages, and you can download it for free and print off whatever you need. Print the whole thing, just print lessons, and you can pick and choose what you want out of there. And it has physical health as well as emotional health in there. Here's some more examples of Discover Club kinds of things. Healthy snacks, junior gardener, mountain biking, food dehydration, resilience. This one down here that I cannot remember what the whole thing, I'm going to stop sharing for just a second and read it. Oh, wait, no, I'll just hide that. There. 4th H for Health Curriculum Leaders Guide is online. I believe that was another one from Shop 4-H. A few ideas. I've had the opportunity to do a similar session as the memo has come out and as our services are really looking to be a little bit more, I can't think of, intentional about incorporating healthy habits into the lives of the young people when they have them in their programs and developing healthy habits. some of the things I know that people have either done or some of the ideas that we have come up with, and some of the things that 4-H does well, we can lend back to the services. Have a fitness and health council and let the youth lead it. If there's something that's going to be perhaps installation wide and it works with MWR facilities and it works with the youth center and it maybe brings some families in or it brings someone in from the hospital or the health clinic or the dental clinic, have it be just like I know installations in the past have had STEM, a base-wide STEM council. You can do the same thing with health and nutrition and involve all of those different kind of people. Develop some youth mentorship. Middle school teens can mentor school age and child development center youth. Like I mentioned before, involve homeschool groups. I think Jeremiah from Kentucky is still on the call, and Jeremiah has done some amazing things at Fort Campbell with their homeschool group involving physical fitness and healthy living. And we mentioned including Guard and Reserve. Some of the examples I found online for Delaware, Kentucky, West Virginia, and California, where they have, and this may not be inclusive, there may be more. I've just found these. 4-H has what they call health and wellness ambassadors. That works twofold. Invite people from the youth programs that you're working with and supporting. Maybe there's a way that they could be, if they can have some transportation, they can participate and apply to be or be a wellness ambassador, or take whatever that program model is from your state or from one of these states that I have listed and share that back with your military installation and let them have their own wellness ambassadors on that installation. Social media, there's all kinds of great 4-H stuff I have come across that I follow now on social media. Delaware has been really fun to find all of their kinds of things. Installations can host health and fitness summits. Maybe it's a family summit. As I mentioned, I know a lot of them will do color runs. Well, helps offer to support those on the installation, or encourage someone else. I think one thing I have forgotten to mention as we've talked, it doesn't always have to be 4-H. Maybe ask your ag agent in your county. If you're a county extension professional, ask your ag agent or ask your family and consumer science agent who knows lots of stuff about nutrition or has all the really cool fat models and sugar models and serving size models, all of that kind of stuff. Involve them with that. One of the things that we did in Colorado before I joined the staff at North Carolina State University was we developed something called the 4-H Kids Cooking Academy, and we had a combination of FCS agents and 4-H agents came, and we got to go into the gym at Fort Carson, and we had, I think, Pat, we love your stations because I'm a big station person too. I think we had 6 different stations set up there, and the kids spent an entire day with us and rotated through all of those stations. And there was one on healthy grains, and there was one on sugary drinks. There was one on fat. If any of you have ever seen the old-fashioned 4-H curriculum or the old 4-H curriculum where you make a blubber burger and you have a really cheapy hamburger bun and the kids get a list and they learn how much fat a fast food hamburger has from a particular place, and then they learn what that means and they scoop it out by the tablespoonful and put it on a burger and look at it to see what that means, or they do the same thing for a piece of pizza. Although I will also tell you this can be led by volunteers, parents, or other people, your teens, because all this curriculum is online and it's very simple to use. But I just say that to 4-H staff. Invite other people from other counties, other 4-H people to come in, because most of the time they are more than happy to support your military programming. You could host a healthy lifestyles expo or festival, similar to what I was just talking about. Ask some of your partners to come in, or invite other people from the installation and the community. Invite someone from the hospital, invite someone from a gym, invite someone from some of the dining facilities to talk about food and nutrition. We are in the middle of always, it seems like, the Olympics. Right now, soccer is big because we're getting ready to host the World Cup in the United States, which is an awesome excuse. I always say any excuse to incorporate these things. So find those little excuses. If you're a 4-H person supporting military, or if you're a 4-H if you're from a military installation, look for those excuses to integrate some of these things and to do your own Olympics. Already kind of talked about that. Maybe build in some kind of incentive. Not that they're going to get money, but if they're going to keep their little sports tracker and they're going to log their steps in, then maybe they get some kind of an extra sticker or whatever it might be after they've reached a certain goal. I will just a reminder that it's like we said in the beginning about meeting people where they're at. I can tell you as a young person in gym, because I am not a I am not a young person anymore. I am in my 50s. And when I was in elementary school gym 50 years ago, um, gym was not always age and developmentally appropriate. I was always the chunky kid that was slower than everybody else. And my gym teacher, I can still see him, put me in special education classes for gym because I was not as fast as the other kids and I was chunky. And I look at that and I think, oh my gosh, how did he set me up for failure as a young person? Instead of just helping me find things that worked for me or supporting me and encouraging me, being like, I know you're the slowest kid on the team, but you can do this. Instead, he didn't want to deal with me, so he got rid of me. I am so thankful that we aren't like that anymore in our school system or in our community organizations. But just a little reminder to that you might have to think things through to meet young people where they're, or we may have kids with different abilities physically. So just think about that. These are just other quick examples that I came up with. There is actually this random calendar that I found down here, and I don't even remember what it stands for. But you know how you have calendars that tell you every day of the month is a certain thing? Well, I found one that has all these things posted on it, and I went through and picked out what would fit for each month. And I thought if you wanted to in your programs, you could actually do something geared towards fitness and health and make a big deal out of it once a month. Because remember the whole keeping it in front of them and developing healthy habits. So January, you could do something with healthy New Year's resolutions. February, American Heart Month. March is National Nutrition Month. March is also National Drug and Alcohol Facts Week. April is National Humor Month. So talk about health. Bring in somebody that can tell jokes if you work in a school age program or you support school age. Maybe you teach them some age appropriate jokes and you talk about how important it is to laugh, that it's good for your body physically and it's also good for your mind and what you do. I know there are days I get done and if I haven't laughed enough, look out because I'm just grumpy by the time nightfall arises. April is also, there's a National Exercise Day. I didn't know about most of these until I found this handy dandy little calendar online. National Senior Health Fitness Day. So maybe it's a community service project where, again, you're integrating health and fitness into what the young people are doing. So maybe they're able to go work with some senior citizens and teach them to do some little stretches or something like that. In June, I can't even remember what NRPA stands for, but Family Health and Fitness Day. And then you can kind of see the rest of them. What else is fun? October, World Mental Health Day. December, National Hand Washing Awareness Day. So those are just some other ideas. And these are some samples of things that I have found over the last probably 6 months since I've been focusing a little bit more on health and wellness. Delaware has a fabulous, if you find some other websites that are great that post a lot of this stuff, drop them in the chat or send them to me and I can include them in any future trainings. California has a great one. I thought this was really cool that could be done to include anyone. If your community 4-H program is doing it, reach out to Garden Reserve or your active duty installations, or active duty installations could do it. So the kids have to complete 8 activities that support their overall health and well-being, and you had to sign up for it, and they were just little things that they had to do. The one from Delaware was awesome, also walking through the holidays. This one was, I mentioned a number of states have health and wellness ambassadors, and that's a little bit about what it looks like to become a health and wellness ambassador. I will tell you, 4-H is great about lending things. and we also allow each other to steal it. So if you find something like this online and you want to set up your own program and you say, gee, what would be the ultimate goals of our ambassadors? Steal what they have already developed in Delaware. Just a few more examples of things. And I know it's tricky for us sometimes to put young people on social media. You can use either other pictures or you can do some of this. You can use clip art. So you don't actually, you still get the point across, but you don't have to have your young people on there. This Louisiana one was really fun that they were having, I think it was a state it was their state healthy living conference, and the young people were doing yoga as a part of the sessions. This curriculum on the right, I did not have a picture of earlier. It's called Get Experience in Mindfulness. It is terrific. A number of our programs have used it. And this is kind of funny because they were canceling it, but it reminded me that people are using it. And so in Delaware, they're using it. This is something from West Virginia 4-H on the left-hand side of the page because they also have health ambassadors. Thought it was terrific. Kentucky, this little person was making a healthy smoothie online and recorded it, and it was out there for all the world to see. Somerset County 4-H, and I don't even remember where that is, which Somerset County it is, but they have a healthy living blog. I also reached out yesterday to some of my colleagues that I knew were doing awesome stuff. So to a shout out to a number of you may be on here. Kim Pond from Massachusetts said that she works in physical fitness and nutrition often in her aerospace projects as a part on astronauts preparing for space and also living in space. I thought that was genius. Again, it has to be something that just, it doesn't have to be, I changed that, but it can be something out of the box. Who'd have thought if you're going to teach kids about space that you are going to add some healthy living to it and add some fitness to it. And then she also said, that in the computer science manual, there's something in there called Code Your Walk, and they combine algorithms and circuit training, which I thought was pretty cool. I think Gypsy is on here with us, and Gypsy has talked about using health rocks. And then something that we did at least a couple of years ago was a company called Skillalastics, Skillalastics. Skillalastics is, and they're kind of pricey, but there was some money at one time through a grant that a number of us got kids, and it's a really neat program. I think there might be a few things that you can use online, but it has all kinds of little games in there and things to make it fun so that young people are moving and enjoying it and having fun, especially after school. They have been cooped up in school all day long having to sit and listen, and they need to be able to move. Some other notes of what's involved in Scholastic. And I lost them. So thanks to Gypsy for sharing that. Shawnee from Georgia also shared that she has worked with kids in the programs around testing time and has gone through some mindfulness, and she has a little thing that she uses, and it stands for SELF, SELF, but it's sleep, exercise, laughing, and leisure, which they also talk about food in that. I'm reading my notes wrong. So sorry. Food is to fuel your body. But she said that's really great to teach the young people about self-care and how they can look at improving those when they have a hard time because they're staying up too late at night watching TV or on the computer or gaming or doing homework, to know that their minds need some rest. And then Claudia also shared a couple of things. Claudia, if you can hear me and you can come off mute, do you have just a minute that you could share about the training that you and Lisa just did, the healthy living training that you did last week and some of the lessons on nutrition that you went through?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I saw one of my Peterson friends on here earlier. So,
Oh,
uh, I work in Colorado, primarily serving our military audiences. And Last year, I attended the National Health Rocks conference where we kind of did a deep dive into a lot of the curriculum and figured out ways that we could use it within our military partnership. So, working with our curriculum specialists, and then here in Colorado, we have health specialists in some of our counties. One of them primarily works with youth, so I looped her into it because she could show some of the things that she does that relates both to Health Rocks and healthy living. So our training was 4-H Health Rock / Healthy Living, and Lisa likes to call it the fourth H for 4-H. So what we did was we did a deep dive into Health Rocks, how our centers and uh, folks can use that curriculum and what they do, talked a little bit about some of the activities within that. So I love that Pat talked about Step In with Health Rocks because that was a big part of what we discussed about how it brings that fitness and being active piece to it. And then we utilized the chef curriculum. So when you showed that one slide, I didn't realize that chef had like a book. So actually, while we were on this call, I ordered one for every installation. Um, but we utilized the chef curriculum. So we had our two groups of staff kind of break into 4 groups. 2 groups worked on a chef lesson, and then 2 groups worked on a Health Rocks. I think we used the stress lesson from Health Rocks, but they for chef they did nutrition labels, and so they worked through that lesson, and then were able to present it to the other group, and vice versa. So it was really fun and engaging, and I think that a lot of our military staff are really excited to use a lot of these resources within their programming. We also covered the Healthy Me curriculum that's part of Penn State, and it's a character building curriculum. It's covered under the health, kind of in the umbrella of Health Rocks as well. So that's one that we've used for the last 2 years. We created little kits for the staff to have all the books that were part of it, as well as some of the supplies for the lessons. And we did the same thing. So as part of Health Rocks, there's also the vaping curriculum too that we utilized as well. But it was fun. And I think doing some of these trainings, like as a former county specialist, it's hard, county agent specialist, it's hard to do all the things and to be all the places. So if there are ways that you can train military staff on what curriculum is available and how to use it, you are increasing your bandwidth by a whole lot because there's a lot more of them than there are of us in extension.
Amen to that, Miss Claudia. Thank you so much. That was perfect and timely. Thank you. I appreciate it. It sounds really exciting, and we can hardly wait to hear the successes of it. Yeah, that's just amazing. Thank you, and congratulations. Speaking of Claudia, if you are one of our military partners and you have not found the contact or how to be engaged with your local and state 4-H programs in your state, I would guide you back to our 4-H military partnership.org website. And if you click on, there's a drop down menu that says, I think state liaisons. And if you click on that and then scroll down a little bit, there's one map. And then if you go down below the map, you can actually click on it and it will pull up this list, and it will give you who the state military liaison is. Almost every state has a state 4-H military liaison. And so that is who's listed here. And reach out to them and tell them you are interested in partnering with 4-H. Because I know sometimes people at the installations move, sometimes people in extension move or get other jobs, and people lose touch or lose contact. So I'd encourage you to reach out to them. The other thing you can do is whatever county you're living in, look up the county 4-H program. Just do a Google search for it. And you can start either place. You can start at the state level with this list that we have, or you can start by doing a Google search. Ultimately, you'll probably come back to the county person, but wanted to help you to make that link right there. I think we're about ready to wrap up. Pat, in the wrap up, did you have any final words of encouragement or words of wisdom or best practices for us?
I I think, and I'm afraid we're going to be cut off here shortly. So I just think, keep thinking about our youth and identifying those programs that we feel like will really make an impact on their lives, because they're watching and they're paying attention and they're learning.
Great, thank you. And I guess my last little piece of wisdom is to remember that when our military partners are encouraging young people to live healthy lifestyles, 4-H is such a natural fit. It is the fourth H that we have, and we have been doing things with cooking and nutrition and healthy decision making and self care and developing research-based curriculum in those areas for many, many years. So it's really, really is a natural fit and perhaps a good foot in the door if you haven't gotten to develop a relationship with your local installation. Thank you all so much for being here. If you have more questions, please feel free to reach out to Pat or I and whoever your state 4-H person is or your local 4-H professional. And thank you all so much. And most of all, thank you for what you are doing for our military young people. They deserve our love. They deserve our support and whatever we can do to help them become resilient. So thank you very much.